Nan Cohen, and I'm with Light Productions, and I'm the producer of Light Television. Light Productions bring to you a wide variety of light programming. Currently, we have several new ideas. One of these ideas involves Light Television's new series entitled Being a Light Worker. What is being a light worker? Being a light worker is basically very simple. It has to do with focusing on light for the planet. Hi, I'm Nan. And it's an honor and a privilege for me to introduce to you my light worker friend,
Peggy Zetler.
Yay, Peggy! Woohoo! Oh, so there's a list of questions that I have for you, and I'm going to go through them one at a time. And we can even add questions or subtract questions, okay?
That's perfect.
However we want to do this, okay?
What did you need? Go ahead. You might want to talk with everybody about how you met.
How we met? Okay, well, we met over the internet.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I was going to say for you to talk with her about how you met.
Oh, do you want me to ask that question?
Sure,
I wasn't
go
even
ahead.
going to.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, do you like that question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that wasn't one of the questions,
Well,
okay.
that'll lead into why you're doing this tonight.
Okay. Peggy, do you want to tell the people how we met?
Sure. I live in a very rural area, and I'm a light worker, and I ground a lot of energy while I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And so I use the internet to communicate with people around the world, and Nan just happens to be one of those. And I was thrilled when I found her networking in light from Missoula, Montana, of all places. So, of course, I contacted her, and she and I have been in communication ever since. And she sends me beautiful thought forms and very simple ways of looking at things whenever I'm getting too chaotic. She tends to calm me down. And I now had the opportunity to come over here. About 2 years we've been doing this. And now I'm in Missoula just for a day. And she asked if I wouldn't sit in and be interviewed. And I'm more than happy to be here.
Yay. Thanks for those kind words. Thanks for those kind words. It's a real honor. This is so exciting. The first question was going to be, you already sort of answered this, but
I do that.
what does spiritual light mean to you?
Spiritual light, to me, it's a geode in my heart that seems to be larger than I am, and I can actually feel the entire universe and look down upon myself, and with God's help, Creator's help, focus that energy on that little speck that is me. And it's amazing to me, the spiritual light that I feel is so grand and so large, and then when I realize I'm just a little speck, I realize how much power that speck is. And with all of us sharing in that, we can equalize that which is in heaven and bring it down to earth.
That's so cool. That's great. Thank you. That's
You're
a
welcome.
great answer. The next question I was going to ask is, do you consider yourself to be a light worker?
Absolutely.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
I had an experience when I was 11 years old with an Appaloosa horse. And it was an experience that I was unable to express or to share with anybody in words. A numinous quality, as it's referred to. And to this day, I can't quite explain what happened. And then after that, interestingly enough, I was told what I should be like and what was expected of me. And I tried very hard to be mainstream and never did do it very well. And then in the late 80s, I had another cathartic experience, and I spent a considerable amount of time alone. And in that time, I had some Kundalini experiences, some very psychic experiences, astroplaning experiences. None of this had I read about. nor did I have any true understanding of, and yet I knew everything, and I was totally calm and comfortable with everything that had occurred to me. And when I came out of that, I realized that I was a light worker. Now, interestingly, that wasn't a word that was around. You don't go around telling people you're a light worker when nobody knows what it is. And sound also was another thing. I was somewhat of an empath in many regards as well. And so I just would go around telling people that, I can help. Just let me be there. Simple things like that. And I was really, really delighted as the years rolled on when light workers actually started to get a name. And just the other day, my daughter was explaining that some friends of her mom's were going to put her on TV, and they thought I would be a movie star. Well, what does your mom do? And she said, well, she's a light worker. She didn't know that nobody knew what that meant. She's 7 years old. And so she explained light working to them. And she's very proud of that. And, of course, their question was, how does she make money doing that? My answer is, I don't. It just comes. But, yes, I am definitely a light worker, a sound worker, but mostly whatever comes from my heart. And many talents are very spontaneous in me. I'm not one of those people that can hum and then call on the powers. They just happen when they need to happen. I've become very comfortable with that. I tried to zoom them in and be able to draw them in when I need them, but that isn't who I am. They just hit when they hit. So, there, how's that?
Great, that's great. The next question is, what form does your light work take? Do you understand the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow, it takes every form that it chooses to. I seem to be quite open and able to do many, many things. Like I said, not calling it on, but when it's needed. I, of course, am an information conduit. By trade, I'm an alternative business consultant in transformative technologies. So I'm able to take scientific information and data and transfer it and transform it into something that's understandable. Okay, so that's a profession. Okay, but I do the same thing with my light work. I'm also, I help people with spiritual support, primarily through crises, and I just tend to be able to understand without knowing anything about what's going on and direct that person a little bit of information, a contact, an opening, or a way of seeing without pontificating, without preaching. It's never been necessary to do so. So my light work comes as an information conduit, but also as a transformer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question is, how effective do you think you're being as a light worker?
How effective do I think I'm being? That's a big question, because I don't consider myself as determining whether I'm effective or not. I don't place a value on that myself. But from feedback from others, I'd say I'm very effective. When they tell me or I receive accolades or thank yous or appreciations, or someone explains a synchronicity that has happened to them after being with me, or they felt something and they knew it had something to do with me but they didn't know what, I'm very gratified. But as far as if I was going to write down my effective level, I really don't have any clue, nor do I need to know. I really don't need to know.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. The next question was going to be, if you thought your effectiveness level was less than 100%, what would be needed to up it? It may not be a relevant question right now. I don't know.
Well, everybody has their lower frequencies and their modes. We're all very human. We're just spirit in human form. And I have mine as well. Mine tend to come when I'm in an environment, and I end up being in a lot of these environments where there's paranoia, there's fear-mongering, there's guns, there's violence, there's people who are so downtrodden that they can't lift themselves up. And when I'm in that for too long of a time and trying to hold my love for them and myself, sometimes the shield gets a little tainted on the outside, and I literally have to step away. I still send my love and my light, of course, but I can't physically be in the present moment. And I know there are people and light workers who can. I am not one of them. I seem to be a little bit more powerful on the outside, on the periphery, than to let that happen. And I suppose that that's a little bit of my ego coming in, maybe not feeling that I'm totally capable and not being able to call in everything that I need to do, what I need to do in that moment. And so we all have our little quirks about us, and that's mine, but at least I can sense immediately when I need to step back. And for that, I feel very grateful.
That's a great answer. All these answers are great. Let's see, the next question is...
Just talk to me. Don't worry about it, man. Just talk to me.
Let's see. The next question is there anything specific from the larger light community that you need help with?
I get so much from the larger light community because I do live somewhat in isolation in a very parochial community, and where there are 30 churches and 30 bars. So the light community of the world has been very uplifting to me via the internet directly, and the energies that I can feel. I'm not surrounded by, artificial electricity and all that, so boy, when it zooms into me, I know it's real stuff. But the larger community, I think that the books that I received, Tom Hartman just sent me 2 of his. One, because I'm doing some grant and foundation work, and I wanted to shift their thinking around a wee bit. He just finished a book called Unequal Protection, and he also sent me Prophet's Way. Now, that kind of a gift from the light workers for someone who's in isolation and doesn't have other light workers to visit with is like having that person right there with you. And there's been no mentors, there's been no gurus to follow. This path has been strictly God and I, hanging out together and dancing. And, you read a lot of these books and you hear a lot of these stories and you feel kind of normal or boring almost because you haven't had a guru that you traveled around the world with, or you haven't, any of these wild things. It's just slowly come to you, and as you have sought, the gifts and the divine magic have come, and it's a very intimate union with Creator. And so the light workers around the world just remind me and boost me along. And when I read their stories or their encouragements, it makes me feel strong. Makes me feel connected not just with Creator, but with all of you.
That's great, too. All the answers were terrific. The next question is children. What do you want to say to the kids, Peggy?
Well, first off, I have 3 of them. And I guess I decided somewhere in my Akashic records or whatever to have one in each generation because I have a 22-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So they're all very different and have been reared in different stages of the modern world. And they're fascinating creatures, absolutely fascinating. I've been blessed immeasurably. But one of the things as a child, when I told you that I was 11 with me and the Appaloosa horse, was I could hear children laughing, okay? And whenever I visualize peace on earth or the place of serenity that I need to be, it's always got children laughing in the background. And I find that to be quite delightful. And I wish to share with you that magically, my father is building a caretaker home for my daughter and I to live in to take care of him. And it sits right behind the grade school. And there is recess laughter constantly. And so, time and creation don't kind of have anything to do with each other. But sometimes when you dream and you visualize and you wish, if you're aware, you'll find that those come true into your life. I always wanted to have my own bedroom, never did, but my 3 children did. I always wanted brown eyes. right? My 3 children have beautiful brown eyes. They got my wishes. And so you just have to learn to recognize these miracles when they come up. Children are unbelievable, and the younger ones are quite honest, quite direct, quite terse, and very, very strong in their presence. And I appreciate it because I've always been like that and been tempered through my life to mellow out a little bit. And so I appreciate it. I'm not one of those people that says, you know, they need to be seen and not heard. I like to hear them. I like to hear their singing and their silly play acting and their imaginations. And my older daughter brings her girlfriend over, and she has a 6-month-old baby named Brooks. Okay, and this is a little fat thing. She's so cute, and she's a little Buddha. She's like 35 pounds. She's 6 months old. She's just this rock. And they bring her over about every 2 weeks because I need a boost. I need some baby juice. And we just have so much fun. And so I think kids are going to be a constant in my life. My house will never not have children in it. It's just the way it's worked itself out. I did not plan it that way. But you assume by the time my 7-year-old is out of the house, for certain one of my older 2 are going to have grandbabies. You know, it'll just go like that. And so revolving door with mud prints on them, you know, is something I enjoy having them around. They're absolutely no trouble whatsoever. A matter of fact, if it wasn't for the children of the earth, I think that I would lose a little bit of my sparkle. Because without their laughter and without their honesty, I wouldn't get slapped upside the head every once in a while back into where I need to be instead of in the reality that I think I'm at. And kids do that for me. They slap you upside the head a lot of the time. And I appreciate that in them. And I think the children are looking to us as transformers, very much so, to get over this business, this duality and this polarity, and kind of get the playing field even, because they're ready to rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And they want us to finish out the junk from the past. And so that's what we're here doing. And it gives me a lot of oomph to get my job done. You know, even though I don't have it completely defined, I know I'm doing it. So how's that?
That's great.
Okay.
And I thought the next question would be, what kind of support do you think the kids need?
What kind of support do the kids need? There's some wonderful up-and-coming organizations like Heartlight and different educational sorts of efforts that are blending holistic education. Touch needs to come back. Touch is a way that children learn, and touch has been put over here on the side as being a no-no. I think that's probably for children the most important thing. I know that sounds simple, but touch is really where it's at. I mean, even if it's just to do this and take a tear off someone's eye, it's very important. The next is they need to be encouraged to go ahead and laugh, and to go ahead and cry, and to feel their passion, and to be just as silly and goofy as what their heart wants them to be without having to temper it to fit a complete mold. I think a lot of these dance classes and karate classes and all that are great for discipline. But if a child really wants to soar and go, they should be allowed to do so and not be restricted. Children self-learn and self-correct, and I think a lot of adults forget that, and they ought to be allowed that chance because they are very close to Creator and probably keener than we are about such things. I told you I'd giggle.
That's great. I like it. It helps me to giggle.
Okay, good.
Any other questions that you can think of that I haven't come up with?
Let's see. I did want to share with you my spiritual support group that's coming up. Mm-hmm. It's going to be every week, 2 hours. It's open and free to everyone, and it is a support group. It's not any doctrine or any particular mode or plan of attack. No protocols will be followed. It's teen through elderly. We'll do some kid groups here as time goes on. And it's being held at the Al-Anon Club in Dillon, which is interesting because, of course, it's free to us. It's a support group, and it's related to higher powers. Mm-hmm. And the feedback, just from spreading this around, I got no feedback from the religious community, no feedback whatsoever from the professional community, not bad or good, just no feedback. And I've gotten nothing but beautiful and accepting and go for it, Peg, feedback from everyone else. And I'm very excited about it. I'd like to see this type of group form anywhere and not be formal and allow people to express synchronicities that they have. Some people would have a synchronicity that they knew wasn't a coincidence and want to talk about it. Well, it's not something yet that's out there, except for amongst people like ourselves. We can talk about it openly. It's dinner chat to us.
Yeah.
But in general, you can't go around saying, you know, well, I saw the words in the clouds, and then I had this thing, and then someone showed, you know, it's, you know, go off to Warm Springs. So we need a place to discuss our non-ordinary states of being. We need a place to discuss the immense peace and happiness we can feel inside without anything happening. And how in this world that's so wrought on the surface with ugliness and hatred and war, how you can feel at peace. A lot of people feel guilty about this. To be happy, to be shining, to feel bright, to be ready to burst forth and do everything in the midst of everything that's going on. How dare you be that way? How dare you be happy? And so I think a support group is helpful, because you would not believe how many people have these experiences, whether they be staunch religious people or people who have never even considered themselves in any way, shape, or form religious or connected, and they need somewhere to talk about it where they're safe and know they're not going to get locked up and put away. So I wanted to share that and encourage everybody to start doing that, because we should be doing, you shouldn't have to pay to have support like that or have counseling and such things. And pretty much our system is set up so it's $50 an hour. And we should be doing this for everybody. If we have the gift to help, we should, and others should listen, and it should be common. So that's something else I wanted to add.
Thanks, that's
You're
great.
welcome.
I'm glad you added it. Anything else?
Oh boy, I could go on forever. I really could. I just wanted to say thank you. And it's weird to meet another light worker, because I can feel her energy coming off. She's very nervous, but I can actually feel what she feels inside, and it's the inside membrane of her body is nervous. It's like this. But it's also it's exciting. It's a good, pure energy. It feels and smells like spring water. Do you know what I'm saying?
Cool.
It's very nice. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time and doing all this setup, and I hope that this gets shared and someone has been touched.
Thank you, Peg.
You're welcome. No problem.
We, the light workers of the world, are making a major difference. Things are changing every moment. And I feel that it's really important for each of us to know this, for us to know that together, that it's working, and to keep it up,
Yes.
and to take real good care of ourselves and keep the support going all the way around,
Yes.
inclusively. Because, I mean, it's... How many people are calling themselves light workers?
Millions.
Exactly. Billions.
Billions. And the good news is extensive, and it's just that it's not shared, of course, in the mainstream. But amongst light workers, and we always try to share with people, I was sharing about the Great Experiment 3 that's moving itself to North Korea now, and the fact that the day that they did their prayer and vigils with the children, there was no violence in Palestine and Israel. You've got to understand how significant this is. The very next day, there was. And this was not something that was necessarily told to the military to record. It just happened, let alone the experiences of the people there. These are small things, but on a galactic scale, they're huge. There's also a wonderful, I encourage everybody to go to the internet and start asking questions and ask for the good news. find out what's going on, and you will be absolutely overwhelmed. And I promise you that it will help to encourage you. We are the heroes. And I say that to everyone because, you know, if you think back to even Jesus and others of ours who we look to in our past histories, they were peasants. They were people. They weren't anything endowed or special or who got to have different privileges. They were people like you and I, and all of our children's stories are based on the same. And just consider yourself one of those because you are. Wayne Dyer, and I was listening, and he mentioned St. Francis and Nikos Kazantzakis, can't even pronounce it, and that there was a translated book in the 60s from Russian on St. Francis, written as a novel, which was really cool. Oh, for some reason, it was only one comment, but I had to have this book. Okay, so I went on the search. Doesn't exist. Was only printed in paperback at one short period of time in a translation. And he said on the tape, Dreyer said on the tape, you will not find this book will find you. Well, I decided I was going to find it, so I went on this mission with all my bookworm people and my author friends and stuff, not to be had. I did find one in bad condition, missing 42 pages on eBay for $450. When you live on less than $5,000 a year, that is not an option. And I wouldn't have bought it anyway. And about 3 months later, I was over at a friend's house, and her elderly mother, whom I adore, she's like 90 years old, and just like this little applehead doll. She's just precious. And she's decided to get rid of a ton of books, literally by poundage. And so she saves them for me to go before she's giving them away to libraries. I get to go through them first, which is really cool. And she keeps all her treasures. But anyway, I'm going through them, and I'm finding an old film book for my brother and thing. And at the bottom of this box, a mint condition, St. Francis by Nikos Kazantzakis, and excuse me if I didn't say that right. There it was, plain as day, with a crayoned 25-cent price tag on it. She goes, oh, I got that in the 1960s from the Bookmobile in Nevada. And she says, that's a great book. It's about how he was married to poverty. At the time, I was so broke, I couldn't even think straight. And I go, do you understand why? And she goes, well, you apparently need this book. And I go, I have, and her daughter comes in. She's been looking for that book. She's been on everybody's case. She was willing to, go to the moon to get this book. And there it was. And so I was blessed with this book. This is how some of the information will find you once you choose and decide. It'll just come to you. It will. It's very fun. It really is magic. Divine magic is wonderful. And it'll delight you every day. Absolutely every day. So there, I talked some more.
Yay! To be a light worker, you don't have to qualify. You don't have to. You don't have to have special credentials. You don't have to. There's no, what would you call?
There's no criteria.
Right, exactly. There's no criteria. Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's it. It's something that comes from my heart. So it starts in the heart and then radiates out and is inclusive. And so we all have our roles, we all have our paths, we all have our interests, we all have it's like our mission within our purpose. And so if this resonates with you and it creates an opening, and
all you need to do is choose. All you need to do is choose.
Exactly. If you want to be a light worker, there it is. You can be a light worker anytime you want to. Please join us.
Man.
Oh.
This